I'm John Hines, Chief Operating Officer of the Agility Corporation, parent company of Task. It's my pleasure to introduce NASA Administrator Charles Bolden, a visionary leader in space exploration. Task proudly supports a number of NASA's most challenging missions and programs, including the James Webb Space Telescope, Mars Curiosity, and NASA's Next Generation Space Launch System. We look forward to continuing our support of Administrator Bolden and his vision, turning science fiction into science fact.
Hello, I'm Jeff Foust, Senior Staff Writer with SpaceNews. I'm here today with NASA Administrator Charles Bolden. Administrator Bolden, thank you for joining us.
Jeff, thanks very much for inviting me, and please call me Charlie.
In recent weeks, Charlie, you've made a very strong push to win full funding for the Commercial Crew Program. Strongly worded letter to Congress, an essay in Wired magazine. Have you noticed any effect of that, either on Capitol Hill or elsewhere?
It's hard to say whether there are any effects on Capitol Hill because the Congress has been out of session, and so the desired effect is full funding for Commercial Crew in the 2016 budget. So we really won't know until we see what the outcome is there. In terms of response from the public, response from the media, it appears that people finally are beginning to understand the point that we were making is that Commercial Crew is a fixed price. There are two fixed price contracts. We have milestones for each contractor, and they're paid per milestone. And so the amount that we requested for the President's budget equals the amount of the contracts. And if we don't get that amount, then it means we either have to push a milestone out or we have to cancel a milestone, with potential results being that we slip the program again, or that we end up unbelievably having to cancel and renegotiate the contracts, which would be a disaster.
In all likelihood, NASA's going to start the 2016 fiscal year on a continuing resolution, which might last a few months, it might last the full year. What effect would that have on the Commercial Crew Program in particular? In
all likelihood, you're absolutely right. We are hoping that we're able to get permission from the Congress to spend the funds that the full amount of funds that were in the 2015 budget into 2016. That's what the continuing resolution would do, essentially, but allow us to spend at a rate that would project what we asked for in the 2016 budget. That would enable us to keep going with the companies as scheduled and enable us to fly in 2017 as we hope right now.
Are you satisfied with the progress that Boeing and SpaceX, the two companies with the Commercial Crew contracts, have made since they won those contracts a year ago?
I am incredibly happy with the progress that both companies have made. I was delighted to be at the Kennedy Space Center last, let me not count a date, but this month, the month of September, when Boeing and the Kennedy Space Center celebrated the conversion of the former Orbiter Processing Facility number 3 to the new Boeing Commercial Crew Vehicle Processing Facility, which was just incredible. Boeing named the spacecraft then, the Starliner, and so it's a big day for Boeing, NASA, and the nation.
We're talking about continuing resolution. There's a concern that Congress may not pass a continuing resolution by the end of the fiscal year, and we'll face another government shutdown like 2 years ago. What sort of planning are you taking now to prepare for a potential shutdown, and what lessons did you learn from the 2013 shutdown?
We learned we're not planning anything for a shutdown. We're counting on the Congress performing the way that both the Speaker of the House and the Leader in the Senate have promised the American public, and that is that we will not experience a government shutdown and we will not default on the debt. So that's what NASA's counting on.
NASA's emphasized Commercial Crew as a key tool to maximize the use of the International Space Station, which NASA is seeking to extend to at least 2024. What's the progress in getting the other partners on board to that extension?
I think you may be aware we've now gotten Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, to formally accept 2024 as the new date for extending International Space Station. We've gotten the Canadians. We're hoping that the European Space Agency, and indications are that they will endorse the 2024 date soon, as will the Japanese Space Agency. So we're pretty confident that we're going to get all all 5 of us will be in agreement that we should extend station to at least 2024.
Now, engineering reviews have cleared the operation of the space station to 2028. Some people have talked about operating it even longer than that. When will NASA know it's time to end the use of the space station, and how long might that be?
Hey, good question, and it's not NASA's determination, first of all. It is the determination of the partners, and in my meetings with my counterparts, the heads of agency, and Bill Gerstenmaier's meetings with the working level folk, we have all decided that we will operate station as long as it's needed to help us retire the risk in 2 things, in terms of technology development for moving on to cislunar space and then to Mars with humans, and the second thing is with our human research program. And all of our forecasts says that we should have that done by 2024, 2026-ish. One of the things that we have done this time is so that we don't have a gap in human space flight, the way we did between Apollo and shuttle and commercial crew, if you will, is that I have said we will not come off station until we have established a presence in cislunar space, which means we've launched SLS and Orion with a crew. We now have a crew that is capable of operating in cislunar space, and then we will start working with the partners to gradually migrate away from the International Space Station. Our forecast is that should happen in the early part of the 2020s, but you know, it could mean 2022, for example. If we have retired as much as we can on station and we feel the rest of it can be done in cislunar space, then there is no reason to stay there. We're not staying on the International Space Station to meet a date. We're staying there in order to be able to accomplish the objectives of preparing to get humans on or in the Martian environment.
Space station, as you mentioned, is part of this long-term program to get
Yes.
humans to Mars called Journey to Mars. One of the criticisms, though, of the Journey to Mars is the lack of details about how we go from here to human footprints on the surface of Mars. When we might expect NASA to start filling in some of those details about the journey to Mars?
You know, we've actually been trying to fill in details to the greatest extent possible for a couple of years now, and we tell more and more of the story. It is my hope that once we get through this next round of budget deliberations and we're ready for the 2017 budget to roll out, that we'll have a pretty coherent, thorough story to be told, and it will explain the reasons that we don't make some crucial decisions like what architecture are you going to use to get to the surface of Mars. Those things are years away. You know, those kinds of decisions are for the next, maybe two administrations away, but those kinds of decisions are to wait until we have the international partners in agreement as to what our objectives are on the Martian surface. We have entrepreneurs and industry involved and also academia. So we have a pretty good idea of where we're going and how we're going to get there. The kinds of things that most people want, though, are definitions of launch vehicles and what's the lander going to look like. It is way too early to be planning that. We don't want to exclude anything by making an early decision.
2 other key elements in the journey to Mars are the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System. Yep. How close are we to knowing when those will fly on Exploration Mission 1?
Well, we've got, let me talk really to program, because I don't want people to, I've noticed that people are dwelling on first flight. First flight is critical, very important to get there. If we get to first flight and we don't have a sustainable program, it doesn't mean anything, to be quite honest. So we're looking at, you know, when will we know that we have a sustainable program with a certified launch vehicle, SLS, and a certified crew module, Orion, with its service module, which is coming from the European Space Agency. And there are 3 pieces to this tail. There's the ground support system, there's the Space Launch System itself, and then there's Orion. And we really believe that sometime in the coming year, when we finish the critical design review for Orion, we'll be ready to get the 3 teams together and evaluate what have the individual key decision point reviews said, and how do they play together. So sometime in the next year, we should be able to give you an idea of when the first human-rated flight will be. And that's the one that, if you want to say what one are you looking for? That's the one I'm really looking forward to, is the first crewed flight.
Which is right now sometime in the 2021 timeframe?
No, I'm as I just said, I don't want to usurp the program. The program has not come to me yet and said, okay, we'd like to recommend a projected launch date, a launch readiness date, if you will, LRD as we refer to it. We'd like to suggest an LRD of this date. And I'm not trying to be coy or anything. It is not, it would be irresponsible, and it would be a usurpation, if there is such a word, of the authority and responsibility of the program managers if I were to take over and say we're going to fly on this date. I don't know that. And you know, it's, we're going at a steady pace. We're making very good progress. I could not have been more excited than to launch Orion on December 5th, 2014. That was a big deal. We will be really excited to launch Orion and SLS together sometime in the next few years. And we'll just continue to march the way we are right now.
Great. One of NASA's biggest achievements so far this year was the successful flyby of Pluto by the New Horizons spacecraft. NASA's racked up an impressive series of successes in its planetary science program, yet its budget's been squeezed. Is it being punished for success?
I would not say that at all. I would say that I would say exactly what you said. NASA's planetary science program has reeled off an incredible list of successful accomplishments. NASA's Earth Science missions or program has reeled off an incredible number of successful accomplishments. Again, if you talk about things that make me really proud, I was so proud to come out of 2014, the Year of Earth, as we phrased it, having launched 5 successful Earth Science missions, something that was unprecedented. I am most proud of our Aeronautics Mission Directorate. When we talk about money, we get focused on one thing that we just want to talk about this week. I have an agency to run with 4 mission directorates. Every single one of them is critical to the success and the leadership of this nation, none more so than aeronautics, which we never talk about. The Aeronautics Mission Directorate has laid out a brand new strategic, well, not brand new anymore, about a 2-year-old strategic plan with 6 strategic thrusts. The success in meeting those strategic thrusts, supporting the FAA, supporting American industry, supporting world aviation has been absolutely phenomenal. And so whether you're talking about human space flight, science and its 4 divisions, aeronautics or space technology, I'm extremely proud of the accomplishments we've made with the money that we've been given. We have a budget, and my job is to make sure that we take that budget and provide a balanced portfolio. And I will take on anyone who says we don't have a balanced portfolio.
NASA is seeking increases to the Earth Sciences program, which has been criticized by some in Congress. Has that perception changed? Have you won over some of those critics?
Our request for Earth Science is an effort to get us back to the level of funding for Earth Science that we had in the early parts of this century. We are not there yet, so we will continue to try to bring Earth Science spending up to the level that we enjoyed before. We're doing the same thing in aeronautics. We're gradually trying to nibble away at it until we get aeronautics at least some work. We're not going to get to $1 billion, not anytime during my administration, but we're trying to get it up to a point where it is substantially funded so that we can do the various things that the nation asks us to do. I don't have a division in science that I don't think we have adequately funded, that I don't think we've requested adequate funds for. I am very satisfied with the level of funding that we've requested across the board because, as I said again, what we're trying to put together is a balanced portfolio for this agency and the nation, recognizing that there will never, ever be enough money for our appetite. Tell me an agency or a department that says, I have enough money, and I'll tell you an agency or department that needs a new head.
Another one of those programs in that balanced portfolio is space technology. And it's also been something that you've seen the budget requests cut in Congress for. Is that perception changing as well? Are you wanting more support for the space technology program?
If the perception is that I want more support for space technology, the perception is correct. I think there are some perceptions that are false, that are inaccurate. There is this perception that we can't get along with Congress. I don't think that's true at all. I think Congress is very dedicated to keeping this nation #1 in the world. My appropriations chairs, both in the House and Senate, when I talk to them, they want the same thing I want. They want a robust human spaceflight program. They want a robust science program, particularly in areas like planetary science. They want everybody to come to America, and they want everyone to come to NASA so that they can follow us as we put humans on Mars. I don't think there's any question about that. You know, how we get there or the level of funding for each, that is natural for us to have differences, and I don't think I think there's a misperception that there's this conflict between NASA and the Congress. My job is to tell them what I think, what I advise the President that he asks for, he requests in funding, and try to help them understand why that was my recommendation and see what we can get. Everybody knows that, you know, the President proposes and Congress disposes. That is the intention of the Founding Fathers. That's the way our Constitution is set up, and that's the way this government works, and I would not take it any other way.
You've been NASA administrator now for more than 6 years. What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment during that time?
Ho, ho, ho. I don't think I have made, I would not claim any accomplishments, but I would credit the NASA workforce. We're not the #1 place to work in the federal government for nothing. We are because we have the most dynamic, innovative, incredibly motivated workforce of any other agency in the federal government. And it is through the efforts of the 18,000, give or take, people who I claim I'm trying to lead. It's through their efforts that we have done things like safely fly out the space shuttle in July of 2011 and begin the transition to a new way of operating with commercial assets to get us to and from space. It is because of their success and their performance and ingenuity that we successfully flew Orion on its maiden voyage on December 5th in 2014. It's because of their success, you know, that we got Curiosity safely on the surface of Mars against all odds through the 7 minutes of terror and everything else. It's because of their success and their innovation, along with their entrepreneurial and partners from academia who put Pluto in reach, and in fact allowed New Horizons to bring us images of Pluto that no one could ever imagine we were going to get. It just completely turned Pluto on its head for all of us, and it made us realize that, yeah, there's a planet out there. And so it's because of the work of this incredible workforce that we have that I have a number of things of which I'm proud. I already talked about aeronautics and the work that we've done in space technology. In spite of everything, we're looking at green propellant. We're looking at laser communications coming on the horizon. We're looking at deep space atomic clock. So I think you can tick off the undertakings of our various directorates, and anyone would hopefully understand why I'm so proud to be associated with this workforce.
Is there anything you consider to be a regret, a disappointment?
No. I'm a person, I'm probably naive in that way. I have made it a point throughout my life. I am so privileged and I have been so blessed that I think it would be trivial for me to look back and say I regret something or something that I don't dwell on the things we did not do. That's unimportant now. What is important is what NASA, working with the Congress and the administration, can do going forward to keep this nation as great as it is. We're the greatest nation on earth. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. Every other nation that considers themselves a spacefaring or a scientific nation looks to us for leadership. And that is said every time I go to a meeting with my counterparts from the other space agencies. They want to follow us. I am comforted by that, but they also challenge us. They tell us we have a moral obligation to lead. We can't choose to step away because we chose to be the leader. So, I think we're a great nation. I think great nations have to do great things, and I just think we're doing the best we can to keep us where we are, and I'm happy with that.
What's at the top of your to-do list for your remaining time as NASA administrator?
Oh, I don't know how much time I left as administrator, so let me tick off the things I want to get done. And I can tell you, I want to do this coming year. I want to see us come to fruition on commercial crew. I want to see the first test flight within the next year and a half. And then I want to see our commercial crew cadre, the 4 incredible crew members that we've assigned and who will be here in town, I think, next week. I want to see them be able to crawl into their spacecraft and successfully fly the first test missions to the International Space Station, and then get on with commercial access for crew and cargo to low Earth orbit. I want to launch SLS and Orion with a crew, you know, to cislunar space, so that we can begin to get set up for the eventual arrival of an asteroid or a piece of an asteroid. I want to see us help the FAA enable the return of supersonic flight to the U.S. I want to see us continue to be the leaders in the world in hypersonics. How much more you want me to? And I want to see all that before I leave as the NASA administrator. Now, whether I get to see all that remains to be seen. But since I don't know, you know, who knows? I don't have an end to this life. I hope not. Well, it comes sometime, but I don't know.
Well, thank you very much, Administrator.
No, thank you very much, Jeff. It's been great, and thanks very much for the coverage that you all give us. It's just tremendous to pick it up and read it. Now I'm looking forward to going online and seeing all this stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.